Europe is facing gigantic tasks because of Corona and Brexit. The situation is critical, but the current challenges could also unleash processes that strengthen Europe's economy and capital markets. The first and biggest short-term challenge for Europe is the second Corona wave. In Germany, from today on, we are in a so-called wave breaker lockdown again. The vehemence of this development surpasses all pessimists. Even experts are surprised by the drama. The dynamics of the past few weeks have not only far exceeded the high points of the spring season, they have once again questioned the understanding of Corona. An American news portal recently headlined, symbolically translated, "Italy did everything right and was still unable to stop Corona." The experts think this headline hits it well. Shocked by the first wave, which was particularly dramatic and deadly in northern Italy, mask requirements and distance rules were more pronounced in Italy than elsewhere in Europe. Nevertheless, in 1 month the numbers had risen from 1,600 new infections per day to recently over 20,000, which is more than 3 times as high as the peak values measured in spring. Spain and France are also among the 8 countries that have now had over 1 million Corona cases. Europe's second challenge concerns the EU. It is losing its international stature because it loses one of the leading economies and the most important European financial center, the United Kingdom. And for the Brexiteers always blame me for being biased and playing that down and stuff like this. No, that always was what I said. I never said some unimportant country is leaving. That's why I'm always talking about harm done, because an important country is leaving and is not that important anymore when it stands alone, but the rest is weakened too, of course. The only thing that is certain is that the divorce is coming. Future dealings with one another are still being negotiated. Technically, the divorce already has come on January 31st, of course. At the moment, it looks as if side battles and self-portrayal endanger the achievement of an at least immaculate free trade deal. Making this relationship profitable for both sides is crucial for Europe's future in the world. The third major challenge for Europe is to remain a voice that is heard in the concert of world powers. The deepening Cold War in the technology area between the US and China poses major challenges, and Turkey's aggressive positioning towards EU members Greece and Cyprus shows that the respect that the EU is shown from outside has suffered. Is Europe, and there especially continental Europe, about to be left behind economically and in the capital markets? Is Europe, so to speak, the global steel industry in a regional comparison? No. Anyone who signs the grave song of this region sings too early. Yes, the EU will still be there in the future, and they will not fall apart at the end of the year. I heard that so often in the last decades. Forget it. Let's start with the currently greatest challenge, Corona. Europe took the pandemic seriously from the start, as seriously as few others. Like many others, one may have focused too much on the hope of vaccination, which in the current wave cannot help anyone worldwide. Experts still did not expect large-scale economic lockdowns. Well, not the question of bringing forward curfew. And the pandemic in terms of mortality and stress on the health system is no longer as pronounced as it was in spring. Those experts were kind of wrong. In Germany, we just got into a so-called wave breaker lockdown, as I said. It's not a complete lockdown, but all pubs, restaurants, theaters, cinemas, etc. are closed again now. But it's not a complete lockdown like earlier this year. The flattening of economic growth in the fourth quarter was expected, but it should now be more pronounced. Europe is entering the second wave with economic policy instruments that were already agreed and implemented in the first wave. A European Central Bank, which is less bound by the capital key, the membership state share of the ECB's capital, and a European Recovery Fund, the next generation EU that has raised the need to help the weak in crisis to a supranational level. However, this should then be approved as soon as possible through the ratification process and must not get stuck in the EU institutional struggle. That is the experts' basic assumption. Despite the dramatic reports in this country, Europe is unlikely to come out of the crisis badly in an international comparison. Certainly worse than China, but by no means as a region that has so far poorly managed the challenges of the pandemic. And with all the hopes for a vaccine, European companies are also leaders in development here. The only really positive news about the status of the Brexit negotiations is that an end is in sight. In the next few weeks, we will know how future EU-UK relations will be institutionalized. Experts still believe in the rational calculation of both negotiating parties, and that is why their base scenario is a stripped-down free trade agreement before the end of the year. Having thrown off the ballast of these negotiations will, in a positive sense, free up resources. Competition between the EU and the UK will increase the tendency not to seek all salvation in government spending and regulation. In this respect, there is even a positive element of surprise. A good Brexit deal could prove beneficial for both sides and strengthen market forces. The EU also needs resources and votes in external relations. The challenges from Turkey are more of a smaller task there. The bigger challenge is likely to lie in the ever-accelerating cold tech war between the USA and China. China's critical view is one of the few issues where there is consensus between Democrats and Republicans in the US, and Europe has positioned itself well in the International Division of Labor to import cheap, broad-based technology from China and leading technology from the US. From this, however, a dependency on both sides has arisen in many ways, and Europe thus has most to lose in a new Cold War in the area of technology. But maybe this is also a wake-up call to invest in technologies that Europe has slept through so far. Just as supply chains are being questioned in many industries, Europe should also start thinking about becoming more independent. On the one hand, by promoting technical developments in Europe. On the other hand, Europe is in demand at the political level and brings in considerable know-how on how to end Cold Wars. But what is the experts' conclusion? That were all arguments from the experts I was telling you in this video. Their conclusion is Europe will be scarred by Corona and Brexit, but Europe is still moving forward. To write it off would be a mistake, including on the capital markets. And if you now want to know more about European or global politics, YouTube has chosen another of my videos right here for you on the end screen, right next to your chance to subscribe to my channel. I'll see you in my next video. Click and enjoy. Viel Spaß!